We have another Jubilee video today. 1 vegan versus 20 meat eaters. When I was in college, I didn't eat meat. I never been vegan, but I didn't eat meat for a decent amount of time, maybe like 8 months or a year or something like that. It's hard to just not eat meat and get enough protein, feel healthy, and get like all the energy you need. I feel like in the short term, eating meat just feels a lot better. Obviously, there's evidence that like not eating as much meat could help you live longer, like lowers cholesterol, blood pressure, all that. So this one's gonna be interesting. I personally love meat. I really do. Pause. But I love meat. It's just one of the joys in life to just have some good meat. I don't know. Oh, okay, let's watch this video.
Reduce the amount of pain that plants are experiencing?
Yes, we should. Plants matter. Hashtag plants matter.
You're not addressing my points. You are not addressing my points. You are deflecting because I literally backed you into a corner.
You can have sex and it was unethical, non-consensual, but it was great. Or you can have the consensual sex and it's not quite as good. Which one do you pick?
Probably a cheeseburger.
Is eating meat unethical? Or has the conversation around veganism and ethical dieting
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I'm not gonna lie though. Sometimes vegans do piss me off though. The moral superiority, acting like people who eat meat are ethically totally corrupt. It just pisses me off sometimes.
And what it means to eat ethically. I'm here in the center with our featured guest, Dr. Jack Symes. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Are you ready to debate the circle?
Sure am. I'm looking forward to hearing what reasons they've brought for their unethical lifestyles.
Are you all ready?
See what I mean? That's what I'm talking about.
All right, let's get into it.
My first surrounded claim is extreme suffering for trivial pleasure is morally indefensible.
If you'd like to be the first debater, get to the chair in 3, 2, 1.
Easy, lad.
Dr. Jack?
Nice to meet you.
Hey,
What's your name, sorry?
I'm Dr. Pete. Nice to meet you.
Hey, Dr. Pete.
So I am very excited about this topic. I think it's super interesting that it touches on so much and all sorts of food. So I'm an emergency medicine physician.
Do you want to, on the claim I made, first of all?
So he could probably have some good health perspectives on it. I'm really interested in this guy's perspective.
Oh.
Do you disagree with that first?
I do.
You disagree extreme suffering for trivial pleasure is morally indefensible? Can I give you the reason, then you can disagree?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think this principle comes from any of the major world philosophies. So you could be religious or not religious. You could be a Christian, a Jew, a Muslim. You could be a Hindu, a Sikh. You could be a Buddhist. Or you could have one of the secular moral philosophies as well. You could be an Aristotelian, a utilitarian, an existentialist. But the easiest way to understand it is just being a utilitarian, right? A good action is one where you create lots of happiness and pleasure and very little pain and suffering. But unfortunately, when it comes to factory farming, it's the other way around in our treatment of non-human animals in general. Quick example, and then I'll let you jump in.
Please.
A broiler chicken exists for 6 weeks. As soon as it's born, it has its beak clipped off with a guillotine. It's put in a cage so small it can't move. It's pumped full of food for 6 weeks straight. It's so fast that its organs fail, its legs break under its own weight. It goes blind because of the toxins in its own feces. And then it has its throat slit alongside 10,000 or so of its...
So yeah. So obviously factory farming is kind of horrific. The practice that we have to get the meat that we do to the amount of people that we have to feed is very horrific. The ideal for me would be finding a way where we could still have the food like we evolved to eat, but in the most ethical way possible for the animals. So like they live like a happier life. They live stress-free until the day we have to put them down. And the way we put them down is in a way where like they don't have any stress of like thinking that they're going to be put down and they've had like a ideally full enough life to where we can, eat them. Like obviously we have the ability to choose which food we can eat. Like a lion, other animals have to suffer for them to survive. It's just how they evolved to be. The difference between us is because we can think about what we're doing. We can think about morality, but no other animal has to think about morality in anything that natural that it does.
Sisters, I think that's an extreme amount of pain and suffering for what is trivial pleasure, which is the taste on your lips. Would you agree?
Well, I'll say that all of civilization is about chasing triviality. And at the same time, I think that suffering...
On that, do you think that's too much suffering for them?
I would definitely also say that suffering is inevitable and it's essential.
It's inevitable, but you can minimize it, right? Is there too much there?
So as an emergency medicine doc who takes care of suffering all the time...
I'm happy to talk about that, but if you can just say, is that too much suffering imparted onto the chicken?
That particular example?
Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever
it takes to sustain 8 billion people across the world, I would say is
well,
not trivial.
it's easier to sustain 8 billion people without having animal agriculture.
It's possible. I'd like to hear the mechanistic argument for that. But I will say, as a philosophy, you're a philosopher, I'm an ER doctor.
Well, there are 30 to 60 million children that are dying every year from starvation. UNICEF put it at 30 million. Dr. Rich Doppelander puts it at 60 million. And so every year you got 30 to 60 million. In 82% of those cases, the children are dying.
But at some point, like some people are happy with a vegan diet, but like food in general is so cultural. A lot of the culture around food in certain places is the meat. Certain dishes that they have that are passed down through the family or hunting in certain areas. I don't think that it's necessarily better to just take away these cultural practices and just have everybody convert to veganism just because like that's the most possible least suffering ethical diet that everybody in the world could have. Like, I think there's more to life than just trying to go to the extreme and trying to sterilize the entire planet in a certain way just because it fits into a certain moral framework. That is completely subjective, by the way.
Dying in places where the majority of the meat has been given to cattle and sold to more affluent countries. That's Ethiopia. That's Sudan. Sudan is the hungriest country major in the world, and it has one of the biggest livestocks in all of Africa. So
that's pretty crazy.
Feed these people if you go to plant-based. You need 75% less land, and the amount of agriculture which is used towards supporting these non-human animals to slaughter them, that's one of the biggest causes of not being able to feed.
You're talking about a massive problem across billions of people across many geographies, and I think what you bring up is probably true. But at the same time, I don't think the solution to it is just either you're vegan or you're not. And what I mean to say is this about suffering, is that when you take care of people with strokes, heart attacks, domestic abuse, bear attacks, they're also violent predators that eat all sorts of things in addition to us. You start to understand that there's two types of suffering. And I think that's the most important part.
There's
two types of suffering. There's senseless suffering and there's meaningful suffering. And I think what you have to understand is that when you can create meaning behind suffering,
there's gratuitous
you can
suffering. That's the main thing. There's a necessary suffering. And that's the vegan claim. I take veganism to be the practical, ethical rule to avoid products and practices that cause unnecessary suffering. So would you agree that if you can do something with...
But also, I don't think it's like an individual problem. Like, I think it's a societal issue that, like, yes, we have factory farming to get this meat distributed to all of these citizens. But it's not on the individual, I think, to choose their diet and to boycott, especially in certain areas where you don't necessarily have as much access to the variety of diets that certain vegans do in like a city like LA. Like, it's easier to be vegan in LA because there's so many different restaurants. There's so many different markets that cater to that diet. I think that it's more so on factory farms and like the corporations that are doing these unethical practices to change how they function. It's just not practical for most people who are just working constantly and just don't have time to really think about these things.
Without the suffering, you ought to do it without the suffering, yes or no?
Are you against domestication
If you answer that, then I'm happy to respond. If you think you can do something without suffering, ought you do that?
I don't think avoiding suffering is the highest good.
What is the highest good? I've just told you that every major
the
world
highest
philosophy...
good is meaning.
I've just told you every single major world religion...
The only
every
commonality
secular
of major religions is that they're all
thinks
human
that
beings.
Extreme suffering...
They're all human beings that
does
deal
not
with
justify
inevitability.
trivial pleasure. Can you name one world philosophy that thinks that extreme suffering can justify trivial pleasure?
I don't need to name a philosophy. I think what it is that in the ER, in reality, when I'm taking care of people recently diagnosed with cancer or they have a child that died, etc.
Wait, so he's saying it's just how you feel. Not that I think this guy's doing a good job at arguing for a non-vegan diet, but the vegan just said like, so it's just how you feel. That's literally everything. Like, I really think that like even morality is just how you feel. Even though people think of it as some sort of like objective thing outside of your personal emotions, whether or not you can consciously make a decision against to like your immediate emotion, I still think the decision is based on how you feel. You feel that minimal suffering is the best outcome for everybody. That's a feeling that you have, and that's a feeling that's important to you. You can't separate the feeling from the morality in any sense, no matter how deep you go with it.
Look, there's two big big studies on overall general health outcomes. The EPIC survey at the University of Oxford looked at 500,000 people over the last 30 years, and the Christian Adventist study in the United States of America that looked at 75,000 people. In both these studies, it's found that you're likely to live significantly longer, less risk of heart disease, less risk of cancer, less risk of diabetes, less risk of obesity if you're vegan rather than eating meat. This is the most obese country on the face of the planet in terms of the global, in terms of being a major country.
I would agree.
75% of people in this country are overweight and obese.
I know it very clearly. I'm responsible for their health as well.
Pause. You've been voted out by the majority.
Yeah, I mean the health aspect of it. I do agree that eating a ton of meat is definitely not good for you. But I don't think everything in life is about being as healthy as you possibly can be. Now, that's not to say that we don't have a really big problem, specifically in America and a lot of different countries, not just America, to be honest, where people typically are pretty obese and unhealthy in the way they eat. It's a lot more so just overeating, and the quality of food that we have is lacking.
Thank you. Hey, nice to meet you. How's it going, bud?
Dr. Symes?
Nice to meet you. What's your name, sorry?
My name is Brian.
Nice to meet you, Brian.
You have a PhD in philosophy?
I do, yeah.
That was my first major.
Oh, cool, nice.
Okay.
Where'd you study?
Philosophy.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you mean?
Where did you study?
Oh, University of Texas, San Antonio.
Very nice.
Yeah, I actually went to the National Ethics Bowl.
Oh, cool.
And
That's
competed
great.
in it. Yeah.
Awesome. So let's talk. What do you think of the claim? I made the claim earlier to one of your peers that there's no major world philosophy that thinks that extreme suffering justifies trivial pleasure. Would you agree with that?
So can we just stick like point by point rather
The
than
video's 1 hour long? Yeah, I'm not going to watch the whole thing.
Just that claim.
So what I heard from you is that
it's a long video.
In
I'm just going to watch like 20
suffering.
minutes of it.
I think all of the major world philosophies hold some version of that to be true, yeah.
So I will not defend factory farming. There is another way of producing meat, and it is regenerative agriculture.
Okay.
And regenerative agriculture reduces all of the harm. Okay.
Doesn't reduce all of the harm. The first.
Well, the majority of the harm, they live beautiful lives on regenerative
just
ranches.
one bad day, right?
Absolutely.
One bad day. I've had bad days, bad hair days.
They don't know that it's coming, but they're serving.
No one's ever slit my throat.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, it's hard because, like, I don't know. How bad do I feel for a gazelle being eaten by a lion? That's exactly how I should feel about me eating a cow. I feel bad for the gazelle, but I don't think it's morally wrong what the lion's doing to the gazelle. Like, to be honest, I really don't. Animals evolve to eat other animals. Some animals evolve to eat plants only. Some animals evolve to be both plants and animals. Some animals evolve to only eat animals. And I just think that's how it is. And I don't think there's any negative morality like that.
How's it going? What was your name, sorry?
I feel like the people on the left side have a disadvantage to get to the seat.
I am carnivore. Full carnivore.
Okay, carnivore diet.
This will be fun.
Go on.
Okay, yeah, you do.
Exact opposites.
I do
Here we go.
mainly because I can't survive without meat.
Can't survive.
I cannot survive without
desert
it.
island scenario for you every day.
It is. It truly is.
What condition do you have, if you don't mind me asking?
Sure. I have gastroesophagus reflux disease.
Okay.
And so I cannot eat a vegetarian or vegan diet. I will literally get very, very sick. And I was actually vegan vegetarian when I was 16 years old. And that's when I got diagnosed. I've been on a journey. I've seen doctors, I've seen GPs. They've all put me on medications. And I was on medication for over 10 years that actually ended up depleting my vitamin D levels and put me in great amounts of depression.
Okay.
And I was also told by doctors that I would never be able to power lift again. I am now lifting 315 pounds with a deadlift.
And you couldn't find any of the, like, all of the amino acids, all of the nutrients you needed in a plant-based diet?
Unfortunately, I could not.
What was it you were missing?
Mainly protein. I cannot consume enough protein from vegetation.
Yeah, not that I think a carnivore diet's the best way to go, but the reason I think meat is so good is that, like, it's so bioavailable. Like, the protein that you get is very complete. The reason you feel so much more satisfied from that is because it has a lot more nutrients and micronutrients in it than just like some nuts do, or some legumes do. Like, even though like chickpeas and some lentils are very high in protein, they don't have like as complete protein as like meat sources do.
And that I need to get it from meat.
There's a study by Miguel Lopez, a big one.
I've heard about India.
2025 Journal of Sport Medicine that looks at over 8,000.
What about India?
Across
I know they're
intake,
mostly vegetarian.
there was no difference in terms of protein intake and upper body strength, lower body strength, and overall body strength. So I'm always surprised to meet somebody who says that, this just doesn't work. Obviously great athletes who take on a lot of protein as well. And when you look at basic things like, your tofu per portion is going to have more protein than your eggs. Your seitan's going to have nearly twice.
60% of the whole country vegan. So it's possible, and it's actually much easier than you would think. I'm assuming that like they just have many more, like a larger variety of options to choose from in India. Like if their country is set up so that it caters to vegan. And I don't know if, are they vegan or is 60% vegetarian? I thought they were vegetarian. Okay, so it's more so vegetarian. 2 out of 5 Indians are vegetarian. 4 out of 5 restrict meat in some way in their diet. So they're vegetarian, and vegetarian is very different from vegan, like no animal products at all. So I think vegetarian is much more easier to do. Vegan is very difficult and very restrictive. It's not that hard to be vegetarian. Plenty of people are vegetarian, but veganism is very restrictive, and a lot of people find it very difficult to actually have a fully satisfied and fully nutrient-rich vegan diet.
Your soy milk's going to have more protein than your whole or semi-skimmed milk. So I'm always surprised to hear people can't get the protein. I wonder, did you do those things? Did you carefully pick all of those?
It's an inflammation issue, really, when it comes down to it. So anytime I eat any other foods that are not meat, I get tons of inflammation. Okay. And so I can't physically lift. I can't physically really move. I feel very ill.
Yeah.
And so meat actually makes it where I can live and then strive.
Do you want to be vegan?
I do not want to be vegan.
Why?
I do not want to be vegan because it makes me sick. But
like if you were, you didn't have these health conditions?
That's a really good question. I really feel like maybe. Yeah,
maybe you probably would.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, right? If I had no adverse effects to the vegan food.
Oh yeah, they've been modified that much, huh?
So do you try?
Wow.
I think conscientious farming is a myth, but do you try and get the meat-based and animal-based products that you get from as ethically as possible?
I have. I'm not going to say that I do it all the time, because I'm not going to lie to you. But my brother is actually a farmer out in Texas, and I try the best that I can to get my meat from my brother, because I find that that's the best way to do it. I've actually went out to Texas and processed a cow with him, so I was actually there. He shot the cow, and then we processed it, and it was an experience for me because I actually got to see where my meat comes from, as opposed to just being blindly eating.
Yeah. I'm not sure I'd enjoy it more if I got to see the creatures being.
Well, my family, they were butchers, and so I.
It's not about enjoying the sight of killing your meat as much as it is like you need that meat, and you're respecting the creature that had to die for that meat by like watching it happen or doing it yourself in terms of like hunting, and then you're more grateful for the meat because you know that animal suffered, and you're not like detaching yourself from the suffering of the animal. You're accepting that in yourself. You know exactly what you're doing to get the food that you need. Bro, both sides are pretending so much. Their simple naked truth is these meat eaters does not care about animals as much as that they changed their diet, and the vegan simply made it his personality. That's the truth. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. People who eat meat don't care enough to stop the killing of animals. They may want to like better the circumstances for those animals. I definitely don't support factory farming, but a lot of the meat I eat probably comes from factory farming, but I don't take it upon myself to think that it's my duty to change that. Like, I don't think it's in my hands. I think it's more so of like corporations and big farming groups for them to like change how they do it and based on like laws that we set. But yeah, and then vegans also think that they have a moral high ground, and they think that their terms of morality should be everybody's terms of morality.
I like to just kind of continue that in my family. But I was a vegan vegetarian, like I said, and when I was younger, and I do see where you were coming from as far as like where it could be ethically more sound. But unfortunately,
I've looked everywhere because I've sort of met a bunch of people like you, and I'm always always skeptical because the stuff that I read seems to go in the opposite direction. The only study I found said it was about 0.1 to 0.2% of people have a condition like yours where they actually need the meat. But it seems like when I meet people, it's normally like 10% of people. So I do find it hard to, just to be honest, I find it hard to believe just in general because I meet so many people that say, things like this.
Okay, so you're saying the raw truth is you care about the taste and habit. It's not about protein. It's not about diet. At least people should be honest with what they are. It's hypocritical to say I care, but it's about diet. No, bro, it's about flavor. I do disagree with that. I think it's a lot more than taste. I think your body does really enjoy the nutrients you get from meat. It's very nutrient rich. I don't think it's lying to say that you care about animals and still eat meat. Maybe you don't care as much as a vegan would, but you still yearn for a change, and as opposed to not caring at all and saying we should do more factory farming. Like, it is a gradient, I think. I don't think it's as black and white as that.
And I'd just encourage you to go as far towards veganism as possible.
And I think veganism is an extreme. It's making it seem like so black and white
By the majority, please return to your
that you can't want better practices for farming
Hopefully speak to you in a moment. Thank you.
and still maintain the diet. Like those two things can be true.
Hey,
Hello, nice to meet you.
what's your name, sorry?
Daniela.
Nice to meet you, Daniela. Jack.
Yeah, so I first became vegetarian at 8 years old. I had
wow.
seen PETA videos online, and I told my
At
mom.
8 years old?
Yes.
That's bad parenting right there. That's horrific stuff.
Yeah, I decided I didn't want to do it. And then at 16, I went vegan.
Yeah, nice.
And all whole foods plant-based vegan. So I wasn't having seed oils or...
Were you taking supplements?
No, I was not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I subsequently developed PCOS symptoms as well as gout.
Yeah.
So eating... So
It
you are
do
pro...
be like that.
Yeah, you are against whole foods plant-based?
Yeah, I think any sensible nutritionist will say that you need to make sure you're doing it properly. You need to be doing it carefully, and that means, for a start, taking a B12 tablet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think we do lots of unnatural things, flying on planes, watching television. I think going straight to the source and just having a B12 tablet is absolutely fine. I think when you put those two diets in front of someone, like if we're not in this debate and someone said to you, right, here's one diet where you take a B12 tablet, and here's another one where you've got an increased risk of heart disease, more likely to be obese, more likely to develop all kinds of cancers, and you're going to live 15 to 20% longer according to the Christian Adventist study here in the United States, then I think most people would go for that one. I think
the fact that no meat eater is interested in the idea of even acknowledging that it's more than possible to be healthy on a vegetarian diet. I think that a lot of meat eaters definitely don't acknowledge that. I think that what's happening is that, like, vegans in particular have sort of this moral hierarchy that they impose upon people who eat meat, as if like you're morally corrupt if you eat meat. And I just don't think that most people take that seriously, because they don't actually think that their morals are bad because they choose to eat meat. Morality is completely subjective, and when you're talking about like, does an animal deserve to die so that you can have a meal, I don't think you can objectively say that you're morally wrong for saying yes to that question. Yes, there's some people who won't acknowledge that it is possible to be vegetarian, but it's okay to say, even though it's possible, I don't want to be.
need better information of, let's not go for just a whole foods diet without that nutrition.
Yeah, I will say, since I'm responding to your claim, I do agree with your claim. That was the
cool.
biggest thing that bothered me about being a vegan or vegetarian. And people would always go and they'd say, "Oh, but what about bacon?"
Come back.
You know?
Come back to the light.
Well,
Just take the B12 tablet and become vegan.
but I'm not pro allopathic medicine. I don't think that these supplements are really beneficial.
Of course they are. These big health studies show that 500,000 people, University of Oxford, 75,000 people, the Christian Adventist study.
How is there a way to have veganism though without cities? I'm not pro
Without
cities.
cities.
Yeah, I'm not pro cities. I think, you talk later about factory farming, which is a product of the Industrial Revolution. That's not something I'm for in any regard. I think that's been very
I don't
disastrous.
understand how veganism's linked to cities.
Well, why wouldn't it be? If you need to have all of these supplements and you need to have all of this mass production.
Oh, it's just one supplement. It's just a B12 supplement.
Yeah, but you'd also
And you
need
can
to
get that
factory.
from nuts and stuff
pause.
too, right?
Pause. You've been voted out by the majority. Please return to.
There was a way indeed which you can survive by eating veggies only, and it becomes apparent in front of you. In short, the issue of diet is completely solved. Will you personally stop meat and switch diet to save an animal? I think the issue is kind of solved. Like, I could become a vegan right now. It would take a lot more time and planning to do so. But okay, so let's assume that I didn't work a lot. Let's assume that I had the time to do a vegan diet. Let's assume it was like super easy for me. Like, let's assume I had a personal chef, right, who could cook me a vegan diet. All the friction was taken away. Maybe I would become vegan. I don't know. Maybe I would. To save an animal, maybe I would. The question is, like, would that change like animal suffering completely? Like, I don't know if like I view one animal as the same as I view like the systemic killing of animals and like mistreatment of animals for factory farming. If we could just snap our fingers and everybody would become vegan, we wouldn't kill animals, maybe that would be the best thing to do. And maybe I would do that. If the food tasted delicious and I was completely satisfied with it, I guess yes, I would. Maybe I'm lying though in saying that. It's hard to think about when you're not actually doing it, because like then you start getting the cravings for meat and you start to miss like the culture around it. Like some of my favorite dishes have meat in it. Then you're completely changing culture. It's hard to say if I'm being completely honest with myself right now. Yeah, I mean, maybe it would be unethical if it was that easy. I don't know. That's a good question.
Your seat.
Yeah, well, welcome back to veganism.
All right, hi, nice to meet
First
you.
thing in your diet. You all right? How's it going? What's your name, sorry?
My name is Nicole Ashley.
Nice to meet you, Nicole Ashley.
Yes.
Jack, how you doing?
I'm great. I think killing plants is murder, though.
Oh, dude, don't do this. Come on, you're joking.
You're ripping it from the ground. You're ripping it from its mother. It's murder. And I enjoy the trivial pleasure of doing what the lions, with the hyenas, with the tigers have done for history.
So you think
Maybe it does come down to
Yes,
taste.
they can.
Maybe it is. Maybe I do snowball
You
it.
know why?
Do you wanna
Because
from
I
that.
have an azalea, and when I don't give it enough light, that thing dies, so it feels it.
Yeah, I think
so
killing-
plants have feelings
Okay.
too.
It's simply love, bro. You either love animals so much that you can't see them suffer and do what you can, or either you simply don't feel the love. There's no in between.
My patients.
I do think there is an in between. I really do think there is an in between. Like, I mean, like there's degrees to which you love something or somebody. Like, I love my friends, but I don't love them as much as I love my mother and father and brother. I love my girlfriend, and I love her in a different way than I love my mother. Like, there's different types of love as well. I do think there's more nuance. I don't think making everything black and white is possible in a world where I believe personally everything is subjective. And yeah, I think it's fine to have a threshold not be met for like changing your lifestyle for something. Like, you can still wish things are a different way. You can wish that animals have less suffering in order to be our food. The extreme would be like we want them to be tortured tremendously because we think that tastes better. And I want every cow to be tortured for 10 hours before they're slaughtered. That is an extreme, but that's not the same as, you know, wanting the best for the animal given that it is going to be slaughtered. Like, there is an in-between. I don't think it's black and white.